The scent of old paper and regret fills the room. It's late, the city lights blurring outside the window, mirroring the haze in my mind. I trace the outline of her face in the photograph, a ghost of a smile mocking me. We built this life, brick by careful brick. A beautiful house, a comfortable existence, a seemingly perfect marriage. But perfection is a fragile illusion, isn't it? A carefully constructed facade hiding cracks that only I seem to see. I remember the first flicker, a subtle shift in her eyes, a hesitation in her touch. It was like a melody played slightly off-key, unsettling, yet strangely captivating. I dismissed it then, attributing it to stress, to the pressures of life. I was so wrong. The pearls felt cold against her skin, a stark contrast to the warmth of the evening. She smoothed down the silk of her dress, a nervous habit I'd grown accustomed to. Across the table, his laughter echoed, bright and carefree, directed at a colleague. I watched them, a silent observer in my own life. A life that felt increasingly like a performance. The conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated by shared glances and subtle touches. A language I no longer understood. I felt a pang of something akin to jealousy, a bitter taste on my tongue. It wasn't just about him, it was about the connection, the ease, the unspoken understanding that had vanished between us. The rain mirrored the storm inside me. Each drop a reminder of the betrayal, the slow erosion of trust. I wandered the house, a ghost in my own home, haunted by memories. The scent of her perfume lingered in the air, a phantom presence. I replayed conversations in my head, searching for clues, for signs I had missed. But it was all a carefully constructed deception, a masterpiece of lies. The whiskey burned a path down my throat, a futile attempt to numb the pain. The city lights twinkled mockingly, oblivious to the wreckage of my life. The duality of our lives. The facade of normalcy, the carefully constructed routine. I spent my evenings immersed in work, a desperate attempt to escape the emptiness at home. Little did I know, she was building a different life, a secret world hidden from me. The split screen felt like a cruel joke, a visual representation of the chasm that had opened between us. I saw her smile, the same smile that once warmed my soul, now directed at another. A wave of nausea washed over me, a physical manifestation of the betrayal. The ring felt heavy in my hand, a constant reminder of a promise broken. It had once symbolized unwavering love, a commitment to spend a lifetime together. Now, it was just a piece of metal, cold and lifeless. I traced the engraving, a faded inscription that seemed to mock my despair. The years melted away, and I remembered the day we exchanged vows, the hope in her eyes, the certainty of forever. Forever, a word that now felt like a cruel illusion. The bar was my sanctuary, a place to drown my sorrows in cheap whiskey and silence. I avoided eye contact, afraid of the pity or the questions. Each sip was a painful reminder of what I had lost, of the trust that had been shattered. The bartender, a weary-looking man, simply nodded and refilled my glass. He had seen it all before. I saw her across the room, bathed in the soft glow of the city lights. She looked beautiful, but there was a sadness in her eyes that mirrored my own. We didn't speak, but our gazes locked for a fleeting moment, a silent acknowledgement of the pain we both carried. It was as if we were two ships passing in the night, destined to remain forever apart. The letter arrived anonymously, a stark reminder of the truth I had desperately tried to ignore. Each word was a dagger to my heart, a confirmation of my worst fears. I read it again and again, searching for a way to make sense of the betrayal, but there was no logic, no justification. Just raw, unadulterated pain. I wandered to the park, a place filled with memories of happier times. I watched the empty swing set, imagining my children playing there, their laughter echoing through the air. The silence was deafening, a stark contrast to the joy that once filled this space. The realization hit me then, the irreversible damage that had been done. I drove for hours, lost in the darkness, searching for an escape. The highway stretched before me like a path to nowhere, a reflection of my own lost direction. The rain blurred the world, washing away the pain, but not the memory. I felt adrift, without purpose, without hope. The vase lay in pieces on the floor, a symbol of the shattered dreams and broken promises. It had been a gift from her, a reminder of a time when our love seemed unbreakable. Now, it was just a collection of shards, a painful reminder of what had been lost. I stared at my reflection, barely recognizing the man staring back. The years seemed to have aged me overnight, etching lines of sorrow onto my face. I saw the pain in my eyes, the exhaustion in my posture, the despair in my soul. I was a shadow of my former self. A single red rose lay on the table, a withered reminder of a love that had faded. It was a symbol of passion and beauty, now decaying and dying. I picked it up, its petals crumbling in my hand, a metaphor for the disintegration of my life. I sat on a park bench, watching children play, their laughter a painful reminder of the joy that had been stolen from me. I felt like an outsider, disconnected from the world, unable to share in their happiness. The innocence of childhood was a cruel contrast to the bitterness of my own experience. I held the photograph, tracing the outlines of their faces, remembering a time when we were happy, when love felt effortless. The faded colors and torn edges mirrored the fragility of our relationship, the slow decay of our love. It was a bittersweet reminder of what we had lost. The empty chair at the dining table was a constant reminder of her absence. It felt like a gaping hole in my life, a void that could never be filled. I ate my meals alone, the silence amplifying my sorrow. I walked along the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore. The vastness of the ocean mirrored the emptiness within me. I felt lost and alone, adrift in a sea of despair. I packed a suitcase, preparing to leave, to escape the memories, to start over. But where could I go? The past followed me everywhere, a shadow that I could not outrun. The train sped down the track, carrying me away from the wreckage of my life. I stared out the window, watching the world blur by, trying to forget the pain, to erase the memories. I sat in a coffee shop, observing the people around me, their laughter and conversations a stark contrast to my own solitude. I felt like an outsider, disconnected from the human experience. I looked up at the night sky, searching for answers, for meaning. The stars twinkled in the darkness, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the insignificance of my own problems. I stood alone in the field of tall grass, watching the sun set, a final farewell to the past. The pain was still there, but it was fading, replaced by a sense of acceptance. It was time to move on, to find a new path, to rebuild my life.